This it was given me to know, that many dreadful films were made in the 80s, but one thing I cannot know, whether anyone will listen to this foolish podcast. Alright, Ynir, I'll take it from here. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm so glad you made it all the way here to my fourth podcast, my fourth episode of Missing Real. And today's movie is one a lot of you may have never seen or heard of, and I'm going to be discussing it in great detail and at great length, so let's get you familiarized. It's a little 1980 fantasy adventure film called Krull. Not to be confused with Kull the Conqueror, starring erstwhile TV Hercules Kevin Sorbo. No. This was a fantasy film sort of like in the mold of Excalibur meets Star Wars, as one critic put it. And yeah, it kind of is a bit derivative of Star Wars in a few ways. Instead of Darth Vader and the Death Star, you got the Beast and the Black Fortress. Instead of Stormtroopers, you got Slayers. You got Princess Lissa instead of Princess Leia. And she was beautiful, man. I'll tell you, I dare say she's even hotter than, maybe not Slave Leia, but hotter than Leia. Instead of X-Wings, you got horses. But you get the drift. You know, it's a pretty adventurous, imaginative film. It was a box office flop, though. It's sad because it was directed by Peter Yates, who you might recall directed Steve McQueen's classic Bullitt. Now, maybe Krull would have been a little more successful if only somebody in the movie drove a car. But anyhow, Krull hit the screens. I went to see it in the theaters, and let's just run down a couple of the stars of Krull, who were not really big stars at the time. We have Ken Marshall, we got Lisette Anthony, we have a very early appearance of Liam Neeson, maybe his first, and a few other veterans of other films, like good old Freddie Jones, and anyways, let's get to the plot, if there even is one. So it's really there's the prince and the princess and the evil. It all starts off with the Black Fortress. It's like a big chunk of shit floating through space, and it just points at and lands on the planet Krull. Bam! It's like, it splits the Earth or splits the Krull when it lands. It's kind of like this big sculpture of crap with a little round, kind of like solarium at the top. It's not really that menacing. But from the Black Fortress come all these slayers, and they're ravaging villages, and they're conquering the planet, and Prince Colwyn is supposed to be traveling to this other kingdom and have a union, this like political marriage with Princess Lissa. So they meet up, and they have this nice castle, and they're going to get married. And the ceremony has this fountain, and Lissa's got this fire. She dips her hand in and brings up this fire and take the fire from my hand. Colwyn's like, alright, but ain't there like a Tiffany's around here or something? What is this shit? But he's about to get the fire. But just as he's about to, the castle doors are busted down, and the lookouts start to shout, Slayer, Slayer, Slayer! And the next thing you hear is, Time of the Sword! Time of the Sword! No, not really, but that would be cool. There's a battle, and there's, a lot of sword fighting, and the Slayers are only really dangerous when they first take a shot at you, because they have these, like, neon spears. It's like they get one shot, this blue laser shoots out, usually kills somebody, and then after that they have to flip that thing over to a very, very dull sword and fight very slowly. So they're not that hard to kill. And when you do kill a Slayer, like this red lightning stuff shoots up, and then their helmet splits open and their brain pops out. And they burrow into the ground, like the brain just like hides. No matter if the ground is solid rock or dirt, whatever, it just buries itself into the ground, and like it's ashamed of itself for getting killed. And anyway, so there's a little more fighting, and Colwyn is very valiant and doing all this like all this kind of like swashbuckling Errol Flynn shit. And by the way, the music in this movie, I gotta tell you, is that James Horner composed probably his finest score ever, and you really owe it to yourself to listen to the soundtrack of this movie. I mean, just buy it or something. It's fantastic. It makes any ridiculous shit you're looking at on the screen all the better, because it's just
soars. It's an amazing soundtrack. All right, enough about the soundtrack. But yeah, listen to it. So Colin's fighting, and then all of a sudden everything starts to go to shit because, the Slayers kill Lissa's father. They kidnap her. They're dragging her off, and then this sad music starts like, Lissa! And then his father is getting stabbed, and he gets killed. Cohen! Father! Cohen! And Colin gets shot in the chest. And he's presumed dead. Well, that was a shitty wedding, I'll tell you. Stressful kind of wedding day for Colin. But next morning, a horse approaches, and here comes Ynir, the old one, who's this movie's equivalent of Obi-Wan Kenobi, because he's going to help train Colin and guide him to this mystical ancient weapon called the Glaive, which is like a big golden shiny gay starfish. The blades that stick out of the ends, and you can throw it like a boomerang, and it obeys your commands. But more on that later, because we're not going to get to see any Glaive action for quite some time, in fact. So anyway, Ynir shows up, wakes up Colin with a little Vaseline that he's applying to his wound, and it gets all dramatic here, and his dialogue is really good. And Colin is all devastated. You haven't lost a father and a bride on the same day.
Nor have I become king on that day.
I have no kingdom. And then so on and so forth. But Ynir eventually drags Colin off, and he tells him, he'll try to help him find the Black Fortress.
In the fortress you will face more than Slayers. You will face the beast, who is their leader.
He can be killed.
But no man has seen him and lived.
Well then, how do you know that there is a beast? Well, where's the proof? It's all conjecture. Anyway, let's go. I'll kill some Slayers and kill some beasts and get my new wife back that they just stole. Alright, so off they go, and there's more drama, but Freddie Jones, man, the caliber of his acting is just way off the charts. It's too much, man. Sometimes he sounds like he's even a little dyspeptic, and you gotta calm the fuck down.
There are kingly virtues other than bravery. Courtesy is one of them. And we all risk our lives on this journey. My risk was no greater than yours.
Alright, dude, we gotcha, alright? Pull the scenery out of your teeth, eh? Again, Freddie Jones. So, Colin and his name Ynir go off to this mountain to try to get the Glaive out of this cave all the way up on the highest peak. So Colin, he just starts climbing up this mountain, he's free soloing the shit. He doesn't have no pitons or ropes or anything. He's still got his sword hanging off his waist. He's wearing these tight leather, Nicky Six stripy pants. I don't know how he does this shit, but anyway, off he goes. He climbs up. There's a bunch of rocks falling down, just because an avalanche would fuck things up even more. But he dodges the rocks. He goes up to the cave. It's all steamy and smoky, and lava is bubbling around. And he sees this, what looks like a starfish floating in a little stream of lava. So he reaches in, and he doesn't get burned. So he plucks out this thing, and it's all crusty, but then the crust falls off, and it's this glorious, shiny, golden, music playing, and you see the Glaive, and the blades pop out. It's awesome, right? So he finally gets back down from the mountain. He's about to fling it, and Ynir's like, do not use it until you need it. Yeah, killjoy. Colin should just try it out, man. Who knows how long it's been sitting up there in that cave? Centuries, man. Who knows if the batteries are still good or whatever. But anyway, off they go, and they meet some other people. They have to gather all these companions, this really lame wizard kid, Ergo the Magnificent. He's like some reject from Monty Python auditions or something. All he can do is turn into animals. It really doesn't do them much good for the whole movie. It's more like comic relief. And if only he would just turn into a bison, and maybe they could slaughter him and cook him for dinner, that would be probably his best contribution to the whole film. But anyway, we got Ergo the Magnificent. We got Rel, the Cyclops, that starts off by scaring the shit out of everybody, but it turns out he's a really friendly guy, and they just accept him and bring him along and start, kidding around with him and shit. Hey, Rel, keep an eye out for them Slayers, huh? Good one. Woohoo. And Rel starts reading a book, puts on his glasses. Hey, Two Eyes, what you reading? And then they go into this canyon, and there's all these renegades and mercenaries and shit. One of them is Liam Neeson, and they're like, thieves, bandits, fighters, and brawlers. Yeah, thanks for the whip crack. That really helped you emphasize my point there. So then they gather these other dudes, and they have a whole lot of people. So they go to see this blind emerald seer. He's like a bargain basement Gandalf, and he, plays with these floating jade crystals, and he thinks he could find the Black Fortress, but then the beast's hand pops out of thin air and shatters his crystal, blows a little wind. So, well, his power is too great for you to overcome. Yes, sir, but there is one place where his power cannot reach. And it's in the swamp, which is, even more sensible because, you could see real clearly in a swamp. The whole thing about this movie is there's always like some dead end and some there's no options, and there is one who might help, or there is one place we can go to do this, and there's always some solution they just pull out of their ass, which is great. So they go to the swamp, and the first shit that happens after they meet some slayers is they step in quicksand, and the ground, it's sinking. It is the power of the beast. No, idiot, it's quicksand. So they start sinking, they link up, they try to get out, and most of them survive, just the shortest guy dies. And then after the swamp shit, there's like a duplicate copy seer guy who sneaks up on the real seer and stabs him through the neck with his long fingernails, and he tries to kill Colwyn, but luckily Rel throws a spear in his ass, and you know how that goes. But now, how are we going to find the Black Fortress? What are we going to do now? There's one who might help. Who? The Widow of the Web. That creature helps no one, for none who go there return. She has great power, yes, to kill. She may not kill me, for I know her name. Her name is Death. Will you stop being so fucking negative? Whoa, easy there, Gramps. Yeah, so anyways, Ynir has to climb up this mountain and go into this cave full of spider webs, and of course, there's a stop-motion glass spider in there. I suspect David Bowie is behind this somehow, but no, he's in some other castle singing and prancing around with Muppets, I think. Ynir gets into this web, he's climbing through, he almost dies, but the widow turns this hourglass and freezes the spider. So he gets into the middle and he sees this old lady who he can now envision as a young lady who he once knew. It's an old flame of his, all right, long story short. And he makes her young, and she's played by Francesca Annis, who's his Dune co-star, coincidentally. And she tells him where the Black Fortress is going to pop up the next day, because it moves all the time. It has different addresses. Anyway, so the only way he can get out of this web is by taking the last bit of sand from the hourglass. These are the sands of my life. Would they happen to be from Arrakis? Accept them and the spider will have no power to fuck with you, but your own life runs out with the sand. That sucks. Got like a baggie or something? Or really? He takes the sand and he walks out, gets out of the web even faster, just with one hand. And he's spilling sand all over the place and the spider can't do shit. And he gets out. So then the spider throws a shit fit and just rips up the whole web and crushes the cocoon at the middle. And bye-bye, Widow. And Ynir gets back with just a few grains left in his hand. And he announces to the camp, "At sunrise! At sunrise, the Black Fortress will appear in the Iron Desert." And then a few seconds later, he's dead. And they have to get to the Iron Desert, which is 1,000 leagues away. There's no way to get there. Firemans can travel 1,000 leagues in a day. There you go, see, magic answer. So they get these big-ass horses that trot so fast that fire shoots out of their hooves. And I guess if I had a hot foot, I'd be running pretty quick myself. So they get these fire mares, they wrangle them up and lasso them, and they start trotting across the planet Krull, finding the Iron Desert, and these horses go really fast, and then at one point, they fly. Yeah, I know. It's a fantasy, okay? Suspension of disbelief. I like that. Just go with it, all right? So they get to the Black Fortress, but it's locked, and then the Slayers start shooting, and they can't get in. The suns are coming up, and it's about to disappear. But Rel comes along and saves the day. He's holding the door open, and through his hodoring, they're all able to get inside, except, Rel gets squished. Well, at least they're finally inside this Black Fortress, and it's weird in there. It's like waterfalls and bridges and stalactites and crap. It's kind of like Roger Dean had a nightmare and then woke up and painted it. But they travel through all these twisty corridors, and Liam Neeson gets killed, and Ergo turns into a tiger to help protect the kid, and I guess he figures he's going to run into Siegfried and Roy or something. Tigers, really. Anyway, they get to this big, like, kind of dome thing that's all sealed up in glass and intricate little, like, design thing that the beast is keeping Lyssa in. So Colin finally plucks off his glaive and flings it at the damn thing and starts cutting into the glass. Well, they could have tried chopping it down first, but anyway. The other guys go around the corner, they get sucked into this magic trick wall, and they get spikes coming at them, and Colin is busy cutting away at the glass, trying to get his wife back, and he does. He opens the shit up, gets inside, they hug, they kiss, yay, but then the Beast is coming. The Beast basically, he never even really seems to appear on screen. He's just like, he looks like he's projected, or he's like on some sound stage somewhere. You never really see him like right there. But, he's coming, so we gotta run. And Colin flings his glaive up at the rocks and tries to make a little avalanche to, slow down the Beast. But Beast comes back and breaks open, and then Colin and the Beast face off. The Beast spits these white mothballs out. The glaive blocks them, and that's it, man. The Beast, basically, all he could do is spit white pearls out of his mouth. Great. That's great. He's terrifying, really. So they fight a little bit. The glaive is flying around the Beast's head, back and forth. Colin is, like, using the Force like a Jedi to control it. And then finally, he just goes into the heart. Makes his glaive stick the Beast's heart. Beast falls down, reaches his hand out to get the glaive to come back. But it doesn't. It's stuck. It's stuck in the Beast. It's moving a little bit, and Colin is straining, and you hear the sad music. They can't get it back. Come on, Glaive, I thought we were pals now. But it won't come back. I really feel for the guy, man. I hate it when my glaive gets stuck in Beast's heart. So he goes to pluck it back out, and right as he's reaching for it, of course, Beast wakes up and jump scare. So Colin and Alyssa run into this other cave, and the glaive is gone. I have no way to fight him. Oh, hey, they have another idea. It's us he can't defeat. And then they go back to the ritual with the fire. And Alyssa's like, take the fire from my hand. And he takes the fire from her hand, finally. And it's like, it's in his hand. And he's able to use it. And he just throws it right at the Beast, man. I'm going to roast you like Don Rickles, motherfucker. The Beast is toast, man. That's it, man. Welcome to the Friars Club, pal. Beast is dead. And then later on, when they have to retrieve whoever's left from their gang, they uses his fire fist to blast a hole in the side of the Black Fortress because it's crumbling. It's falling apart, as is usual with these kind of movie endings. So he gets outside with using his fire. I'm just wondering, why didn't he use this fire shit? If they just hurried it up and got the wedding ceremony underway a little quicker, he could use that fire and just like roasted the entire army of invading slayers, man. Dracarys, bitches! But nah. Then it wouldn't have been a movie, would there? So they get out, they're trying to get out of the Black Fortress, and they do, and like they're in this nice grassy, beautiful meadow. It's like really, really considerate of the Black Fortress to just drop them off pretty much in Lyssa's old backyard. So the Black Fortress is crumbling down, and then it starts crumbling up. Like pieces and chunks of it start floating up into space, like they're on strings. The Death Star just blew up. But hey, why blow up when you can go up? And all these pieces go up in the air, and there's little, fireworks and little dots and more beasts, spitball, mothball things. And then they just sit and watch it for a while. They lay out a picnic, and finally it's gone. And I guess they live happily ever after and stuff. But Krull itself, I don't know, is the movie living happily ever after? Are people appreciating it the way that I do? At the time, there was like a big marketing campaign. There was stuff. There was like a Krull arcade game, for God's sakes, man. I played it. It was really cool. I mean, I wish I had one of those in my place, like alongside maybe the Journey arcade game. There was an Atari 2600 Krull game. Now, the arcade game was awesome because you could just like... You could just throw like hundreds of glaives out. You never had to worry about losing it and stuff. And then the Atari one, was like... The way you get your glaive is you pick it up on a horseback ride. You have to like snatch it up like in a split second, which was really inconsistent with the movie and quite a pain in the ass too. But yeah, I had that also. As for the cast, well, we all know Liam Neeson graduated to much, much better stuff after this. He did Darkman. He did Star Wars, good old Qui-Gon. And he was in Taken, Taken 2, Taken 3, Taken any script that's offered him. Great. Good for him, man. He's awesome. Ken Marshall, who played Colwyn, well, I don't know. Since then, didn't see much of him, although he was on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, although most of his hair wasn't. Lysette Anthony, the lovely Princess Lyssa. Yeah, she did some stuff, and I'll have to confess that I actually met her at a sci-fi convention I went to some years later, and there was a Q&A, and other people in the audience were asking her, like, interesting stuff about, like, her role on the new Dark Shadows, or working with Ben Kingsley and Michael Caine. Me, I was just geeking off and asking her all this Krull shit. But, she was really sweet. She's nice. I took a picture with her, got her autograph. She signed my Marvel Krull super special comic magazine thing. I was in heaven, yeah. Krull, any other thoughts or things? Just see it, man. See this movie. It's great. And maybe my podcast will make just a lick of sense. But that's it for this time, and I hope you'll be back for another. I will. Thanks for listening, all. Cheerio.